From Boise to Burlington to Dallas, the protests, the anger growing in America.
If you want to help somebody that's outside this door right here. You don't need to go any further than that.
But the family of Syrian refugees we've been following never thought it would come to Modesto.
Refugee, everyone's...
We watch as the teachers here suddenly change their lesson plans.
Raise your hand if you are aware of the attacks that happened in Paris. There's been a lot of very strong opinions on whether the United States should allow Syrian refugees into our country.
Donald Trump, he said that if he wins, he's going to send all Syrian refugees back. That's sad.
Why do you think that's sad?
Because like they're over here, they're all safe, and then they're going to send them back so some of their family members got killed over there.
Aya sits there with her head down.
All right, good afternoon, boys and girls.
But amid the simmering anger and suspicion across this country, we find 6-year-old Hala now preparing for her first Thanksgiving.
Mr. Turkey, gobble, gobble, who is that? Mr. Turkey, big and fat.
And Ala, who is still struggling with her English, is about to bravely tell Mrs. Bird's high school class about the horror her family endured and why, for her first Thanksgiving, she is truly thankful.
My uncle and his family fled from Syria by sea. Their boat sank, and his wife, 2 sons, and 2 daughters dead.
But her fate here in America has been far different.
I am also thankful for the United States of America for the reception of the refugees.
Very good. Excellent.
We want to make sure that our students don't ever turn to hate.
If you have any power at all, keep them out of our county. Thank you.
And we witness the anger now erupting right here in Modesto.
They're going to use this refugee resettlement to put their terrorist operatives in other nations.
Mary Roberson, a mother, a grandmother, now organizing the protest.
We don't know who they are or what they are. Syria doesn't even have the proper documentation.
And right there, Mrs. Bird, who finds herself not in her classroom, but at that podium.
I would like you to meet these students. I would like you to see their value. I do not think that hate and fear should redefine who we are as Americans.
When you hear some of the rhetoric in this country, you smile.
I would welcome those individuals into my classroom. It's obviously spoken from ignorance. I would invite anybody who subscribes to that mentality to spend one day in my classroom.
Open invitation.
Open invitation.
She says, my classroom door is open at any time. Have you ever gone to one of those classes to see who these young people are?
No, I have not.
What would you say to the families that we've met, the refugees, who simply point out that they're fleeing ISIS too?
Okay, what I'm saying is we don't know who they truly are.
So where do we put them?
We need to put them in a place until we figure it out. I don't care if it's a camp, whatever.
And she points to what the FBI director, James Comey, has said himself about vetting refugees.
I describe it as a process that's gotten a lot better, but that we can't tell you is risk-free.
And so we travel the 7,400 miles from Modesto, California to Amman, Jordan, to see the vetting process for ourselves. Here in Jordan, across the Syrian border, there are more than 600,000 Syrian refugees, and despite the backlash back in the U.S., so many of them are still desperate for the chance to go to America. And through this doorway, we immediately discover a crush of humanity. Refugee families already screened by the UN, now waiting to be interviewed by the U.S.
How many interviews?
4 interviews. Actually 5.
5 interviews. So they come through here?
Yes.
Gina Kassem is with the U.S. State Department.
And they're brought into a security screening area.
For a vetting process that can last 2 years. We are taken to a hallway lined with small rooms, and through the windows, we can see family after family being interviewed.
How can you possibly learn everything about a family through an interview?
I'd say that the interviewers are very highly trained. They are trained to look both not at the documentation, but also for the credibility behind the applicant's story.
But when you say documentation, I mean, this is Syria. They've been at war for years now. What kind of documentation do they have, if any?
Surprisingly, 97% of all adult applicants in our pipeline have valid Syrian documentation.
From here, they are screened through the terrorist watch list. The intelligence database is back in the U.S., and Homeland Security makes the final decision.
Are there times when it will flag you to a particular family and they get pulled?
Absolutely. The applicants are actually at the airport, and we've had to prevent them from boarding the plane.
And tonight, the U.S. State Department says of the 840,000 refugees admitted to the U.S. since 9/11, a, quote, tiny fraction of 1% have been arrested or removed because of terrorism concerns. Critics say still too many. And inside this room, the Syrian families who've just been cleared for America. This is cultural orientation, where they're taught about their new home. The teacher asks them what's allowed in the U.S. and what's forbidden. She shows them a picture of a couple kissing in public. She asks them about drinking in America. And then she asks about polygamy, asking if it's legal in America. They begin to clap. The next lesson about America, the melting pot. They're asked a simple question. Which of these faces are American?
دنزل واشنطن ممثل أمريكي بيونسي هل ضروري الأمريكي اللي عينيه زرق وأبيض وأشقر؟
These families leaving within days.
How many of you are excited to go to the United States? Give me one word that describes America to you.
The land of chances.
The land of chances. For Americans who are worried about refugees coming to the U.S.,
We are humans like you. We want to be one of you. ممكن تقبلونا بس.
And we wondered if they had any questions for us.
في حال فاز دونالد ترامب بالانتخابات شو بيضمن حقنا انه احنا نضل هنيك ما بصير يرجعنا او يأذينا هنيك.
We'll take that question with us back to the United States.
And we journey across Amman to find one more family. We're about to witness the moment they get their answer. Their home bombed in Syria. They show me their homemade swing in the hallway. The children miss their playground back home.
This is your playground.
Yes.
The U.S. State Department then tells them they're next.
Then on September 6th, you will travel to Kansas City, Missouri.
We watch as it sets in, and then a question for us. We show them on a map.
Kansas City is a beautiful city. It's a beautiful city, and the baseball team, they won the World Series.
A smile from the son who loves sports, but we notice tears from one of the children. Her mother tells us she is sad to leave her friends yet again.
David Muir joins us now. Love that line, the land of chances. You had a chance to talk to one of the refugees who had a question for Donald Trump that you brought back to the States.
Yeah, we said we would, and we interviewed Trump in recent days, and we asked him about Syrian refugees. He said, done, no more, done. Those were his words, Byron. And he went on to say, we have no idea if they're ISIS related. We should point out that Hillary Clinton says that she has long been an advocate for stronger vetting, and her campaign says she continues to support the notion that we should be accepting Syrian refugees.
And tell us about little Hala.
Hala, I know the little one. I remember at the beginning, she couldn't even say yellow in that class. It was so daunting for those teachers. You've got to see how this ends.
All right.